is a very good combination to counter this particular problem of the erectile dysfunction associated with this particular the premature ejaculation. And the next approach after this particular these drugs, the what I said, the sildenafil and the tadalafil, they promote the erection by inhibiting the phosphodiesterase enzyme 5, which is responsible for the degradation of the cyclic guanosine monophosphate, that which is called the cyclic GMP. And in the cavernous smooth muscle of the penis, this inhibition leads to the prolonged activity of the cyclic GMP, which in turn reduces the intercellular calcium concentrations and the maintains smooth muscle relaxation of the penis and results in rigid penile erection. And further testosterone replacement therapy, that's what I told. If at all there is testosterone deficiency, you give sildenafil, tons of sildenafil and tons of tadalafil, you will not get the response unless the testosterone injection is supplemented once a week, like 4 to 6 or 8 injections as per decided by this particular the treating the physician or the clinician or the diabetologist or the endocrinologist or the sexologist actually. And for the same, the different formulations are available, such as the gels, the patches, the implants and the injections. These are all the modalities of treatment available as of now in our country for this particular the erectile dysfunction and the premature ejaculation. Now coming to the this is with regards to the males, that is we have seen this particular sexual dysfunction in men. And now coming to the women, let us see what happens in women actually. I told they also have a lot of sexual dysfunction, but they feel very much shy and they feel inhibited to tell the doctor, and unless otherwise you have a good rapport with the patient, they don't let you know that they are suffering from the sexual dysfunction actually, which is very common. And now let us come to this particular the females aspect of this particular sexual dysfunction, which is called female sexual dysfunction. In brief, we'll call it as FSD, the female sexual dysfunction. And FSD is a complex condition that affects women of all ages and all the races. It is often characterized by the disturbances in the physiological and the psychological changes associated most of the times the psychosocial, that is the physiological as well as the psychological sexual response cycle in the woman, and includes the disorders of sexual desire, that is the reduced sexual desire in females, and the sexual arousal, that is the having the sexual pleasure. It is divided into like 4 parts actually, and the first one becomes the foreplay and the main intercourse and the sexual arousal and the after play, that is the sexual act coitus is divided into 4 categories actually. So one should not straight away get into this without foreplay. You cannot just get into this particular main intercourse. That gives no satisfaction to the female actually. You have to take it as a take home message actually. So foreplay, before that 5 to 10 minutes of foreplay will have this the sexual desire gets increased, aggravated actually, both in males, especially the females. They get the sexual arousal actually, and the sexual desire improves by this foreplay. And after that and when the main course, which lasts for 2 to 5 minutes, and once the ejaculation is over, and the females they just have the sexual the arousal, and actually the that is called the Plato stage, where the female feels satisfied, and it should continue like with this particular after play also. You should not immediately withdraw your penis from the vagina, and that leads to lot of dissatisfaction in the sexual desires of the females. So that see, these are all very sensitive issues, but I have to make it very clear as an endocrinologist, as a friend I have to clear all your problems. That's the reason I am just getting into the problem very deeper, in a colloquial language actually, that is understandable by all my friends actually. And the problem of orgasm, that is the sexual pleasure finally the female derives, is called the orgasm, and sometimes it is associated with pain. The sexual sex is sexual, the act, the coitus or the intercourse is associated with pain in the females, which is called dyspareunia, and these are all the sexual problems. The sexual difficulties in women appear to be widespread in the society, as they are influenced by their both the health related and the psychosocial factors. And what we find in our country is actually so many people have to live in like in one single room, where the female naturally gets inhibited in front of the children, in front of everybody, to participate in this particular. The atmosphere is not good actually in India, to tell you very honestly, that the females can enjoy the sex in a much proper way. So they suppress and oppress their desires, just keeping all this psychosocial and the environmental factors in view, and they suppress themselves. That's a great sacrifice done by these Indian females actually, and they are also associated with the impaired quality of life, and interpersonal relationships. That is the relationship between the wife and husband is not properly maintained because of all these problems. She always has got some desire in the mind, but she is not able to express it to the husband, or the husband is a smoker, husband is an alcoholic, he comes late in the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, in a drunk state. So what else she can do? Nothing. It's a very pathetic condition actually. And coming to the common risk factors and the categories associated with the sexual dysfunction in women are like the aging and the associated diabetes mellitus, the associated cardiovascular disease, and the associated hypertension actually, and the obesity and the overweight, and the concurrence of the genitourinary disease are the psychological and the psychiatric problems faced by the females. And because they are the best managers of the home, they have to maintain the husband, they have to maintain the children, they have to look after all the needs of this particular, the entire family. If at all they have in-laws, the father-in-law or the mother-in-law, they have to take care. And Indian women are known for this particular the greatest hospitality, which we don't see in the other countries. So they are so passionate, so compassionate, and they work like bulls and all. They round the clock they will be working, and they have very little time to enjoy, relax, whatsoever you say. So, and they are the other problems, the associated cancers. Maybe the female is suffering from breast cancer, maybe she is suffering from the cervical cancer, maybe she is suffering from the uterine cancers. So these are all the factors which will impair this particular sexual dysfunction in the female actually. And moreover, the limited social relations and the financial difficulties and the employment status and the religious beliefs and the educational background and lack of exercise, they all represent the socio-cultural risk factors for the female sexual dysfunction actually. So then, we coming to the basic question. So what causes the female sexual dysfunction in diabetes? In females, the normal sexual response is in the combination of sensory and autonomic neuropathy system in order to respond to the erotic stimuli as well as the vascular the districts that supply the blood to the external genitalia and the vagina. See what happens in males and females, the same thing happens. The blood flows, it literally gushes into the penis. So likewise in the females also it gushes into the external genitalia, that is labia majora, labia minora, the clitoris, and the vagina gets a lot of blood supply at the time of the intercourse, and that is hampered either in the males or in the females actually. So these are dependent on the action of the neurotransmitters such as noradrenergic and the non-cholinergic neurotransmitters. Consequently, the normal levels of various hormones are also required for psychosocial the sexual activity, and the diabetes may affect all these integrated systems, thus leading to the sexual dysfunction in the females, that is called FST. And further the increased blood sugar levels, that is called the hyperglycemia, also leads to the vaginal local infections in the form of either the genitourinary tract infections, what we commonly say as urinary tract infections, or the candidiasis of this particular the vagina, which leads to this curdy white discharge and itching, severe itching, which is a very very troublesome factor when the blood sugars are very much increased. That is, the hyperglycemic state leads to this particular, and it leads to this particular hyperglycemia in turn leads to the vascular and the neurological damage and the hormonal disorders, and the hyperglycemia reduces the hydration of the vagina, and that leads to a state of dryness of the vagina, actually in the mucous membranes of the vagina, producing very poor vaginal lubrication, and that leads to the painful intercourse when the man inserts his penis into the vagina, where because of the dry vagina, so there is no lubrication, so it becomes a painful penetration, which is called dyspareunia, that is called. And moreover, hyperglycemia increases the risk of genitourinary infections, which in turn may lead to this vaginal discomfort actually. And they must be meticulously addressed, and they must be meticulously managed very properly by interacting with this particular the female population, which will not they will not let it out so frequently to the doctor. And in the busy OPDs, one has to allocate some time to elicit all these things from this. That's what I have been doing for the last 30 years. I give lot of time. I am a very patient listener actually. I don't just write the prescription and send the patient out. I just listen to the problems and I elicit some questions, and from some answers I elicit some answers by putting some small questions, so that you will come to know that whether the female is sexually active or sexually inactive. And another factor in the abs is the association of depression with diabetes. So most of the patients of diabetes, they have some amount of depression actually, and depression is something like tip of the iceberg. We don't see the iceberg at all. Sometimes we see the tip, and sometimes we don't even see the tip of the iceberg also. So depression is such a major factor in diabetes, which plays a vital role in leading to the male sexual dysfunction or the female sexual dysfunction also. And more epidemiological studies have showed that the psychosocial factors are the main contributors to the sexual dysfunction, either in the type 1 diabetes mellitus or in the type 2 diabetes mellitus. or the other types of diabetes mellitus also, whatever it may be. It doesn't mean that if the woman becomes pregnant and you are not supposed to participate in coitus. You can participate in coitus, but that should not be very vigorous. It should be a passionate and compassionate, that it should not hurt the female actually. So you can always participate in coitus even during the menstruation. These are all the myths. You can participate in coitus during menstruation. It's not at all a problem. If the female says yes, you can always participate in. The only thing is you have to thoroughly wash your the external genitalia, the male or the female after the coitus. And even during the early months, the first trimester and the second trimester, you can enjoy the sexual life. And coming to the point, as we all know that this particular depression seems to be the principally established determinant of sexual dysfunction in women with diabetes, and the diabetic complications may also affect the health and the relationship of the status and the quality of life, and women's the self-image, generating a vicious cycle that may have detrimental effects on the sexual performance. See, most of the times in our country now, the concept of divorce is still increasing day by day, month by month, year by year, like foreigners, for simple silly reasons. The psychological and the cultural and the behavioral and the environmental factors, they are just getting separated. For that we need to counsel the couple actually. For simple reasons they are applying for a divorce, and the concept of live-in relationship has picked up in India also. Like even the famous people are doing that. The celebrities and the popular figures in the society are doing this particular the live-in relationship, and it is against our Indian culture and heritage actually. So now coming to the next question, is the sexual dysfunction in the females treatable? Yes, absolutely we can treat. Like how we can treat the male sexual dysfunction, the female sexual dysfunction can be treated if you come to a diagnosis, if you can elicit that particular female is suffering from this particular sexual dysfunction, and the same principles what I told, you have to control the ABC, but the lifestyle modification is very important, and the diet, exercise and reduction in the weight. And our ladies, they generally the due regards to all the females in the country. I'm telling that as far as before marriage they will be very lean, they maintain the figure and all. Once they get married, after a couple of children, and they lose interest in their body shape or structure, and they just become like cylinders. They become overweight and obese, and that leads to the decreased sexual desire in females actually. They literally lose the desire actually. So when there is no desire, there is no question of the sexual intercourse. It is also considered as one of the biggest barriers. So once the reduction in the weight, and now the concept of even the smoking and even the alcohol is picking up in the high society females. So that is the one of the worst causes of this female sexual dysfunction, and we should advise them to quit alcohol, quit smoking, like what gents are doing. We should do it, and thoroughly we should counsel the patient. The therapeutic the possibilities for the sexual dysfunction in diabetic women refer to the lifestyle changes what I said, and the optimal diabetes control, and the hypertension control, and the dyslipidemia control, and the psychotherapy, and the selected medications when appropriate they must be used. At present there are no specific guidelines that are currently available for the treatment of female sexual dysfunction in diabetes, and the psychotherapy is the best thing, and the control of diabetes, control of hypertension, control of lipids, along with some weight reduction and quit smoking, that is stopping smoking and stopping alcohol, will improve the this particular female the sexual dysfunction. And by treating countering the genitourinary tract infections and the genitourinary candidiasis in a proper way will reduce the problems by 80 to 90% actually. See, the adoption of the healthy lifestyle may reduce the insulin resistance and may reduce the endothelial dysfunction, which improves the endothelial sensitivity as well as the insulin sensitivity and the oxidative stress, all of which are desirable achievements in for this particular the female diabetic patients, and the resulting in improved well-being may further help to reduce the prevent the so-called FSD, that is female sexual dysfunction. And sexual dysfunction in diabetic women may benefit from both the resolution of psychological issues and the treatment of depression, and with specific medical therapy. And depression can be tackled in many ways, like there are very good drugs right now for treating depression actually, like the citalopram and the escitalopram, and there are so many drugs which have come off late. The best one what I feel is the escitalopram, 10 milligram taken twice or thrice a day will counter the depression, in particularly either in males or females with depression along with diabetes or without diabetes. And there are several antioxidants, and you have to choose this the proper antidepressant for that particular female or male by eliciting the questions and the extent of depression what they have. And if the depression is because of the environmental factors, you have to modify that. If it is because of the health issues, you have to modify that and improve the quality of life by improving the controlling the diabetes, controlling the hypertension, controlling these particular infections, controlling the other problems. You can bring down this particular the depression levels to normalcy. And moreover, I'm sorry. Moreover, achieving adequate glycemic control is of paramount importance for diabetic women in order to help reduce the risk of genitourinary infections and avoid the particular the microvascular and the macrovascular complications of the diabetes, or the complications of the hypertension, or the complications of this the dyslipidemia, which results in the atheromatous changes in either in the males or the females. So thus, if I have to conclude, the sexual problems are very common in both men and women with diabetes, not only in India, all over the globe. And the healthcare professionals, that is the clinicians, the physicians, whoever is treating these particular problems, need to be to be comfortable in asking the individuals about the above said problems, and where necessary refer to a sexual dysfunction specialist, that is the sexologist, or as well they can refer the patients to the endocrinologist, or the urologist is the one, the best one is the urologist also. And they have got the several techniques for this male sexual dysfunction, especially though not the female sexual dysfunction. And by using the skills of the individual skills of the healthcare professionals, both the person's sexual difficulties and any medical or lifestyle issues can be progressively addressed, and so that he or she is empowered and encouraged to holistically improve not only the sexual issues but also the general health, because sexual dysfunction is one part, and the general condition of the general health condition is the main integral part, which leads to the prevention of the further complications of diabetes, further complications of hypertension, and we need to go for a holistic approach. That is what I always call is the this particular the patient centric approach. See, don't see patient as a piece, like the ear, the nose, the mouth, the eyes, the scalp, chest, abdomen, and all the external genitalia. Don't do that. See the patient as whole. That is the holistic approach. That is the patient centric approach. Not only the glucocentric approach, not only the blood pressure centric approach. See, it should be a holistic approach which counters all the problems of the diabetes, the hypertension, and the commonly associated dyslipidemia. If we can tackle them very properly, thereby you are going to prevent the complications like the diabetic retinopathy, like the diabetic kidney disease, and the diabetic neuropathy. And again, the macrovascular complications being the coronary artery disease, or the strokes, or the peripheral vascular diseases. And the seventh dimension is always the complication of seventh complication, major complication, which is not mentioned in the textbooks, is the periodontal diseases, that is periodontitis. The dental visit is also mandatory for patients suffering from diabetes, not only the ophthalmological visit. So ophthalmological visit by an experienced ophthalmologist is mandatory once in a year for the all patients suffering from diabetes mellitus. Likewise, at least once in a year, every patient should see the dentist whether everything is right or not. So I conclude by saying, if you want to keep healthy, stay healthy, and you want to improve the general condition of your health, you have to even though you don't have diabetes, though you don't have hypertension, though you don't have any problem, please start walking and go for a nutritious, healthy, balanced vegetarian diet. If it is the choice, I would like to go for the vegetarian diet, which is the best diet on the earth. You don't need to go for keto diet, you don't need to go for this vegan diet, you don't need to go for paleo diet. Just a vegetarian, balanced, nutritious diet is very much enough. And if at all you are overweight or obese, try to reduce your weight. And please stop smoking. Please stop drinking. These are all the take-home messages I would like to. And in this COVID pandemic, I would all the time advise my patients and my friends to get vaccinated, either with the Covaxin or the Covishield or the Sputnik V, whatever the vaccine is available. But don't mix and match, please. If you take Covaxin, the second dose must be Covaxin. If you take Covishield, second dose should be Covishield. If it is Sputnik, the second dose should be Sputnik. Though some studies of late have said that if the patient has taken this particular the Covishield, the second dose can be either Moderna or Pfizer, which are not available in our country. So don't mix and match. This is the guidelines released by the WHO. So one has taken Covishield, only Covishield, the second dose. One has taken the Covaxin, all the time Covaxin, and one has taken the Sputnik V. It is available in the metros only. They have to take only this particular Sputnik. And even though you take the 2 doses of vaccine, it doesn't mean that you don't contract with COVID-19. So you just have to take care of yourself by the gold standard methods of using the mask and the using the soap and the sanitizer, and maintaining a physical distance of at least 2 meters. See, unless otherwise it is required, you please don't step out of your house at all. If it is very much required, only you get into this the outside, and don't get into the crowds, because there is every chance when you get into the crowds. So you don't know who has COVID-19, who doesn't have the COVID-19. Though vaccinated, the very pathetic the scenario is that in this particular second wave, we have lost 20,000 of healthcare professionals and providers, out of which 2,000 were doctors who have taken all the 2 doses of vaccine, and 18,000 healthcare workers, that is the paramedical staff, have succumbed to death, though they have taken the 2 doses of this thing. So don't be overestimated. Don't be under the great impression that I have taken vaccine, I can just go out and do what all I want. All the time maintain the physical distance. All the time wear a mask. So now it's time I have to put on my mask. So the mask should cover the nose as well as the mouth. If preferably you can use this surgical mask or the N95 mask, any mask, okay, that's not a matter. Even you don't have all these facilities, you can use even a cotton mask. And double mask system is always better. Putting a mask and on top of it again a mask will protect you from this COVID-19. And don't be panic about the third wave or fourth wave. God only knows whether it's going to come or not. But don't get disturbed. Don't be like, do you please do not panic about this COVID third wave or fourth wave. And if we collectively do this, the vaccination and the maintaining the physical distance and not making big crowds, and by using the soap and sanitizer and maintaining the personal hygiene, I think we can put a full stop to this COVID. I am an optimist. So optimistically, I hope that a day comes in India where there is no COVID. With that I conclude. I sign off. I take leave of you, my friends. This is Dr. Sepuri Krishna Mohan, endocrinologist, Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh. Thank you for patient listening. And if you have any questions, please you can post so that I can answer. So, one Chandan has asked, pancreas diabetes problem. That's what I said. See, that comes under this particular specific types, Chandan. So, the pancreatic problems leading to diabetes, that's what I have categorized. Either the infections or the alcohol, that is the chronic pancreatitis or the acute pancreatitis, or the acute pancreatitis and the chronic pancreatitis, or the tumors of the pancreas, the malignant tumors, or the stones in the pancreas, where it requires like a surgical procedure called the total pancreatectomy, which leads to total the absence of the functioning beta cells. So then the patient develops diabetes, and the drug of option for that particular set of patients is only insulin. No other drug would act. You have to give the patient only insulin lifetime. That is the pancreatic diabetic problem. And Jagdish Gaud, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. And Raghu said very nice. Thank you, Raghu. And so let me see if there are any questions. So if there are no questions, let us wind up this session. And thank you so much, my dear friends, for your patient listening. Thank you so much.